All right, guys, welcome back. Episode 2 of the Banter Boys. Schedule got released today, so we're going to go through some teams that we follow here and see what we think about them.
Absolutely. Kyle, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Doing good. It's,
I
it's
know,
a
we
good.
kind of,
It's kind of like the unofficial start of the season. It's like, all right, now we know who we play in. Do you have an easy beginning where it's like, okay, you can kind of wait for the transfer window, or not no spoilers, but Arsenal have a pretty tough beginning. So it's like, hey, we need to get some transfers in here. We can't be leaving this to the end of the window. We got to be ready for preseason.
right. Well,
So
fortunately, you guys have like plenty of time right now to focus on getting transfers in because you're not qualified for the Club World Cup. Um, I know Manchester City is kind of focused on Pep's. I love it. Pep's taken like the approach. This is the start of our season.
yeah,
We are going to play everybody during the tournament. They played Wydad Casablanca today. Uh, Good 2-0 victory. Love to see that. Love to see Foden get on the score sheet immediately in the first couple minutes.
that's gonna help.
Um, Crazy Rico Lewis red card, by the way. I know, but like we were chatting before this, I didn't even bring
Yeah,
that up. Crazy Rico Lewis red card because it's like it's one of those situations where like either you go in for the challenge and win the ball, and then Obenga, he's coming in with studs up, so it's either take the studs to rake your leg or lift your feet and kick him in the face.
it's
Enrico's
tough.
there first, so I'm kicking him in the face 11 times out of 10. I don't know
Yeah.
about you.
No,
So,
that's one of those
crazy.
where it's like that's literally a 50-50 where that decision could go either way in a sense of like either somebody's getting fouled pretty bad here, and
Exactly.
it's you either
Someone's
get to
taking a big
choose
hit.
am I going to be the one that gets messed up, or am I going to try to not mess up this guy here?
Right. And then like not only that, but last night we had a Monterrey Inter Milan draw
Yeah.
where Sergio Ramos, the guy who's just, I guess he's never going to retire,
Yeah,
comes out and
and
scores a towering header against Inter, and then Inter, bring it back. It's funny because like Inter should have won that match, but Monterrey also had plenty of chances to win that match.
yeah,
Like, I
I
don't know
thought
if
it
you
was
saw the
really
highlights, but
I did. I saw the highlights, and then before I watched the highlights, I just clicked on it, and I was like, oh, it's like Sergio Ramos scored. I'm like, not that Sergio Ramos. There's got to be another one. There's no way he's still playing.
no, he's
And then I
still
watched the
going,
highlights.
man.
I was like, how old is this guy? He just
He's
doesn't
still
stop.
going, and we've seen that goal a million times from
Yeah,
Ramos,
yeah.
right? Like that's what he
That's
scores. He
90%.
scores
90%.
big goals from set pieces,
Yep.
or he's just a psychopath who runs straight from the back, gets in the
Yeah.
box, and scores a header. Like that's what he does. Um, and of course we have someone join now, like right in the
Okay.
middle of when we're talking. I'm assuming that was Wes, or was that Canna?
yeah. No, it was Wes.
Yeah, of course it's Wes. Yep. Might as well just add him in. Screw
Yeah.
it. It's episode 2. Screw it.
It's episode 2. We're gonna get Wes
Right,
in
we
here.
haven't even
So
we haven't
let's
even
get.
started talking about the schedule yet.
Yeah.
All right, hit pause and get Wes in
All
here.
right, we're getting Wes in here. All right, we're back. We got Wes in here now. We're ready to
Beautiful,
go.
beautiful.
Club World Cup.
Yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to say about that Inter Monterrey matchup was a few years ago. City were linked to Lautaro Martinez.
Yeah.
He he's a weird one because he does score a ton of goals, and he can he could score out of like nowhere, right? Like he could turn nothing into something, which he's Argentinian, scores a lot of goals. Like as a City fan, I was kind of excited when they were kind of linked to him
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, and watching that match, he's very wasteful. I noticed. Like there are a lot of chances, and we saw this in the World Cup too. So it's not a secret. I don't really watch a ton of Italian soccer, but like he seems like he's just very wasteful at times. Um, which just as a fan, that would piss me off so much because like it's he goes too early on a run and he's offside and he finishes, or like he has a chance that's better than a 50-50 chance, and he bottles it. Like I'm happy that we don't have him. I'm happy
What's
that we are where we are.
You're gonna find this funny because he was also linked to Arsenal, I think, before the World Cup.
Yep.
Um, and I literally messaged in the Arsenal group chat that Wes is in and RJ, and I literally said, I was like, I feel like this dude is the best worst striker I've ever seen. If you take all the strikers that are just not good enough, he's the best one. You know, and I was same thing. I watched the World Cup and I was like, no, I don't want him. I've made this decision. Nope, I don't want him.
It's funny because
He
like I
strikes
think
me as a Saudi Arabian player.
Yes, yes. Somebody that'll go
Like a
to
Saudi
like
Arabian
Al-Hilal
league player.
and score 20 goals. You're like, well, you know, he just never just shy of that next step.
you know it's funny because it kind of reminds me of like what just happened, right? Like Wes, I can't tell if you're the smartest dumb person I know or the dumbest smart person I know. Because like 10 minutes ago, Kyle texted, "Don't go into the Discord for the podcast immediately. We'll add you when we're done with the topic to make the editing easier." What do you do? Jump into the podcast Discord. Not 5 minutes later.
It was really funny.
So I know last time we're called the Banter Boys. We didn't do a ton of banter last episode. So here it is. That's the debate for the week. Wes, dumbest smart person I know, or smartest dumb person I know. That's
also for the
This might not help the cause, but I'm confused what the discussion is on whether I'm smart or dumb.
Exactly. There
also
we go.
for all the hundreds of thousands of viewers we have watching, we started this because we have a text group chat that is active basically 24/7.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
There's 10 of us in there, and we just constantly banter with each other. Like Arsenal versus City, Arsenal versus Arsenal. We have different Arsenal opinions. We have different City. We have opinions on everything. A red card happens, and everybody's sending Twitter. You know, this is, hey, I wasn't watching what happened. Nope, not a red. Oh, that is a red. Now we're arguing rules. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So if I can be honest, though, the group has turned into a Arsenal are such a big club now that it's everybody who's not an Arsenal fan.
It is
the Arsenal fans.
It is a
and
little
it's not
bit
even
anti-Arsenal
the Arsenal
now.
starting it. It's our
it's not
club
even that
is doing so well that the Manchester City, the Man U, the Chelsea fans, they're so bothered by our success for having done so much less spending and for having
not even that.
homegrown
It's not
players.
even that. It's that you guys have main character syndrome. Like you guys think
100%.
that you're the bell of the ball, and like
you guys are making us the main character.
When was the last time you guys won the Premier League? All we do is all we ever hear about is Arsenal red card. This is unfair. This VAR decision against Arsenal. That I call you guys Varsenal because up until 2 years ago, it was like every decision was for Arsenal, and you guys still couldn't win. So
I call us Arsenal too because we're usually getting ripped off by.
of late, you can start to make that argument, but like not in the years before the last 2 years. Like that's just not the case. It's just not the case.
All I'm going to tell you is, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I was kind of changing topics, so go ahead.
Sure. My daughter one day will probably have a kid. If I live to be old enough and have a grandkid, I'm going to show them the video of Declan Rice getting sent off for millimeter pushing the ball to the side and completely changing the course of the season before it was even Thanksgiving. And they're not going to believe that it's true. They're going to think AI put the video together. That's how outrageous we're talking here. If you want to bring up Varsenal. Yeah.
Right, and you're not going to blame the 1, 2, 3, 4, 14 draws you had last season. How about you guys attack a little bit?
Well, I mean, a lot of those were because of the red cards, sadly.
Bringing
up
the
one against City, the one against City when Trossard kicked the ball when it was in midair, as the whistle was blown as he was in midair, and they gave him the second yellow. We ended up that one a draw.
The thing that
I ended that one a draw.
So sure of, the thing that I'm so sure of, but will never have proof for it, is that if it was just a different badge and it wasn't Declan Rice and it was Phil Foden, you would be probably selling all assets to legally file for some kind of charge against those referees.
Well, it's
That's all I
funny
have to say.
because like Kyle and I already talked about the Rico Lewis red card today, but like I talked about it today, and you're probably not going to hear a peep about it after this. And I told you this in the group chat. If that were Declan Rice, you would still be talking about that a year from now.
It was a
Because
red
you've
card.
proven over and over again that you would still be talking about it a year from now. That was a red
Difference is
card.
why I'm talking
I've had
about it is
I've had texts from people outside the group saying, "What the hell was that red card?" Because it wasn't a red card. What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to take the studs to yourself, or are you supposed to
sounds like
protect
you're only
yourself? He was
texting
in there first.
Manchester
He won the
City
ball. The
fans.
attacker went in after Lewis was already sliding through the ball. So like, it's tough. It is what it is. I'm over it.
Kyle,
I'm
just
over
for
it.
a
We won.
moment, put the unbiased cap on.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you two scenarios. One person tiptoes the ball when it's a dead ball, doesn't move it out of position. It rolls maybe like a quarter roll. The other guy studs up into the face, right in the chin, both on the ground. Would you believe that they got the same result?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, they didn't get
But-
the same result because one was a yellow card and one was a red card.
Fair, but still, it's
So,
easier
yeah.
to give the first. Yeah. I think bygones be bygones, even though it's
I think this season, I think that whenever there is one of those, the Declan Rice second yellow, that obviously changed the course of that game. Any of those, just those level decisions, like Wolves when they get screwed over 90 times a season for whatever reason, we definitely should go on here. Oh, RJ,
I'll be honest.
how do
I'll be
Hold on
honest
one
though.
second. I gotta figure out how to close this.
Who was that joined in?
RJ.
RJ doesn't have a camera. He's not allowed. We need to lock this Discord. That's what we need to do.
All right, I think it's locked. I think. Here, he can go over there. He can talk to Joe.
There you go.
So
I
What I
heard
wanna do-
something close. What closed?
I think we're okay. Oh, I closed the Discord. I figured out how to do it.
Oh, okay.
What we should do this season is any questionable result, like yellow card, red card, we should pull up the Twitter video and we can all live react to it.
And we should
make
do it on
that-
Mondays.
And whenever
like,
there's
the
a
match
crazy
week's over.
decision, that way we could go back and we could have a record of, wait a minute, Wes, you said this, and wait a minute, JP, you called this decision a second yellow when he kicked the ball away. But here
Fine.
now, 5 weeks later, and now we'll have.
We tried to do
evidence.
that. We tried to do that with the notes,
which is
but it
yeah.
turned out that Wes would just go in there and say, like, City is gay or something like that.
Well,
putting words
that's
in my
definitely-
mouth. That
You guys,
Look,
you guys will be
I'll be-
seeing that.
I'll be the first to admit, and this is how you know I'm being true. I'll be the first to admit, as an Arsenal fan, I think referee treatment was more fair in the second half of the season for us versus some of the outlandish stuff. Like the Webster Dictionary has the word outlandish specifically to describe what happened in the fall of 2024 to Arsenal Football Club from refereeing in the Premier League.
And here we are back to main character syndrome.
It's not.
I
All
did
I'm
see
saying
a stat that says
In
that
the
we
second
have,
half of the season, they were better.
The second half of the season was definitely better. I'll agree. Also, I saw a stat a few weeks ago that said that Arsenal last season had the highest number of reds with the lowest number of yellows in any of the top 5 leagues of all time. Like their red count compared to just their foul count was completely out of proportion. And whatever the difference was the most of any of the 5 leagues. Saw
Also,
that
with
on
the
Twitter,
main
but-
character syndrome, if that's main character syndrome, you're the main character today for complaining about Rico Lewis.
Okay, I'm the main character today. Well, then let's talk about the last Club World Cup match that was on today.
Yes.
Well, because Pachuca in Salzburg is going on right now, but they're in a delay. So then the last one was Al Hilal and Real Madrid, and I mean that was a draw.
Yeah,
Like this is a good tournament.
I'm hate watching. I'm hate watching just Rodrigo playing on the right wing. I'm hoping that he gets into a fist fight with Alonso on the sideline, punches him in the mouth, and gets him on a flight immediately to London.
Drives the price down.
I'm only watching him of like, first of all, I don't watch, we don't really watch anything but Premier League and then like Euros, World Cup stuff. So I don't watch that much Madrid, except for when we kick their ass. But watching Rodrigo, first he had an absolute gorgeous assist, absolutely disgusting assist. But him playing on the right, you could just, to me, he was not that happy. And I think
no, he wants to play on the left. He said that before. He's a left winger. He wants to play on the left.
And I think having Trent behind him, I was hoping that Trent was going to be the Trent that we all know, is going forward fantastic, defending horrible, so that Rodrigo would have to track back and be like, wait a minute, I do not want to do this. I do not want to do this here with this guy behind me. And that is exactly what happened. The Madrid fans online are already calling that we got scammed for free on Trent. They are so mad. The Twitter fans are going ballistic. He can't defend. Why did we buy a defender who can't defend? They're losing their minds. Like losing their minds about it. He had a horrible first game.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a midfielder playing right back.
Yeah.
For a club that probably had its worst defensive record in probably a decade or more, being Real Madrid. I haven't looked at the stats, but they were letting in crazy goals. Trent is not an upgrade for defensive support.
Yeah, no. I totally agree.
Not over Carvajal. No chance.
So you have to think that they're gonna, and I haven't looked at their transfer stuff recently, but they must be linked to other defensive help. Like they must be getting more than just that.
They got the Bournemouth kid.
That's right.
Hoyson.
I can picture him too.
Yes.
Peckers or something.
Hoyson.
Yes. But know what's funny?
That's the guy that's linked to. Sorry.
You say that, Wes, and I watched the game, and I kept thinking like, oh, Halal, like they got a couple of Premier League players, they got a couple, they got a good squad. But for the first 20 minutes, Madrid had one chance in 20 minutes. Like it was all Halal, and I was watching it like their defense is not that good. Like they got the best midfielders in the world. Like you take their midfielders starting and bench. Nobody could go up with Real Madrid. They literally have everybody. They have so many good midfielders. They're making them play in left back and other positions just because they're just so good. But I'm just watching. I'm like, yo, these guys are getting carved up right now. Like, yes, hey, it's like a semi-preseason, real game. Okay. But still, Madrid has won this, the last 5 times or something? They've only lost the Club World Cup once. It's like their cup.
And City won it.
Yeah. I haven't even ever looked what it cost to qualify, which I'm being naive to then saying this next line, which is it just seems ridiculous that you have Saudi Arabian teams competing for this world championship with Brazilian teams that, yes, in the grand scheme of things are top 5% worldwide teams amongst all leagues and countries, but they're not the top 5% of all teams in the world.
But it's the only chance that you get to get teams from different, parts of the world to play against each other, because we already have the Champions League. That's all the clubs in Europe, right? We have all these tournaments where those teams get to go prove it, and by winning those, they qualify for the Club World Cup. So it's the only chance.
They won Champions League.
Exactly. City won Champions League, Chelsea won Champions League. Because Chelsea won in 2021. It's based on the last 4 years. Because Chelsea won, because City won, because Real Madrid have, that's how those clubs from Europe get in. And there's a rule that only 2 clubs from a country, from a league, can get in. So that's why Chelsea and City are the 2 representatives from England, because they're the last 2 Champions League winners, and from the last 4 years from England. So that's why those 2 teams are in it.
Yeah, to me, I take Arsenal.
That's why Barcelona's not in it.
Like, but to me,
right?
it's like
you'd love
I
to
don't know
see
how you.
Barcelona in there,
Yeah,
but they're not in because they didn't win the Champions League.
like to me, like if you're gonna do one of those things, like they lent in, they left, Inter Miami got in because Messi's there. You know what I mean? Like obviously, okay, but
Yeah, but
like to
did
not
Inter?
have United, to not have Liverpool, to not have Barcelona, those are three of the biggest clubs in the world. Let alone, you know what I mean, like England. Like
Well,
if you're
right, but
gonna
like
let
so
Inter
next year,
Miami in, you gotta, some of these other big teams.
right? Well, unless Chelsea win Champions League this year, they're out next year, right? So
Yeah,
it like City's still in because they won Champions League within the last 4 years. Next
yeah,
year, but like Liverpool won the league, so that might get them in over Arsenal.
yeah.
Um, but if Arsenal win the league this year, that's
Then it's a toss up, kind of.
a second
Yeah,
place, a second place, a second place, a first place. Like that might be enough to get Arsenal in next year
yeah,
if they win the league this year. And
Mm.
like I know Wes and I went back and forth on this today, where you said like I don't. It's good that we're getting the rest before the season because it's been a long season, and then
yeah.
there was the Nations League.
And then you go
But
next year into World Cup, which is,
right, like that's another. That tires the players out even more. Like they don't get a chance to rest. There are too many matches. Like
yeah,
I'm okay with getting rid of the Carabao Cup. Like City won it 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row. I'm done with it. It's just too
yeah,
many matches. You need to bring up players from the academy, and City have a good academy, but it's like, well, yeah, like you bring up academy players, but you still need to have your first team players playing in it
I know.
because it's a trophy, right? You want to win every trophy.
Yeah,
So it's tough, but I mean in terms of, you know, the Club World Cup in years past, it hasn't been as big of a deal. Um, Obviously they're trying to push it, especially because it's in the U.S. and then the World Cup's in the U.S. and the matches are at super weird times, so it's hard to get attendance no matter what. By the way, City's match today had the best attendance so far.
yeah. Real
Um,
Madrid's was pretty full too in Miami. Didn't even see the
but
number, but just looked a lot of.
yeah, I mean it's a good tournament for City. It's perfect because they're bringing in transfers who are going to be, in the team sheet most of the time. Um, so I like it because Pep's trying different things. I mean, you have the opportunity to try different things, right? You're playing Wydad Casablanca. I mean, it's an opportunity to put new players out there in a different system from what you've been playing. So like City today, their back of their team was 2 defenders and then 3 midfielders because he played with inverted wingbacks.
Yeah,
So it was like a 2-3-5, 2-3-2-3, an old school MW. I'm not sure exactly how it was because it was so fluid, but it's still fun to watch. I mean, I just like getting the chance to watch more
it's
soccer.
one of those things where like it's a joke unless you win it and you get the money for it, and it's like, yep, we did win it. So, you know what I mean? It's
They got $8 million today playing a match and winning,
yeah. So like, okay, great.
but I'm good with that.
But
Do we want to
yeah,
move on to schedule?
yeah, we're gonna do Chelsea first. Um,
Yeah, I haven't seen any others but Arsenal or
yeah,
like if they
I
did
same.
comparisons of the first five.
Cool.
I only looked at Arsenal and I was like, I want to see it. Initial reactions with you guys.
So I did a little bit of scouting. Just like initial, super quick, just read through the schedule and looked at some of the first 6 matches. Made it a little easy because ESPN put out a thing basically talking about the first 6 matches, so they were kind of all
for
highlighted.
everybody.
For
Can you have
mainly
it brought
big
up
6
here on the screen.
But yeah, I'm sharing Chelsea's schedule, and their first 6 matches are Crystal Palace at home, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away, Manchester United away, and then Brighton at home. And to be honest, like
that is
coming
a nice, easy landing strip of a start.
like coming off a Conference League victory and then really nothing to do in the summer. except because like Chelsea has such a big squad,
Yeah.
they don't really need to bring in a lot of players in. Like they brought Delap in, who you know
Yeah, but
now
they're
he
gonna
has
get
some
rid of
time to
Nkuku,
acclimate
so it's
with the
like,
squad.
yeah, they're just. I feel like they're just going to sell and buy or buy and sell, and they're just going to keep the squad the same size. So it's like, okay, Delap comes in,
Yeah,
Nkuku's going to leave. So that's a 1-for-1. It feels like they're going to sell a person, buy a person, buy a person, sell a person
Can you share
type
the
deal.
schedule on the screen here?
I'm
I
sharing
have
it.
yeah, you should be able to if you go into Discord and click on JP stream, and then you could look at the Chelsea schedule.
Yep. So based on last season's Premier League table,
Oh.
this is the place that each of Chelsea's opponents faced for the first 6 matches. 12, 14, 11, 10, 15, and 8.
Wow,
So,
that's like an average of like 13 or
yeah, so
14.
like if I'm a Chelsea fan, and it's unfortunate we don't have Nikos tonight, but I'm sure we'll ask him about the schedule next time he's in. Like Chelsea fans have to be licking their chops right now.
Yeah,
Um,
they should be undefeated or have a draw by the end of September. They should have no losses.
well, so like here's the thing though, right? Palace had some tough matches that they looked decent in at the end of the season, right? I mean, they won the FA Cup, right? They beat City, and they finished relatively strong, whether it was nick and draws against tough teams or winning. So Palace is kind of an unknown, and I feel like last season Palace was Wes. I can't remember if this was one of your predictions, but like the people were just kind of people almost had Palace as like a relegation team last season.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
After Vieira
and
left, people were like, "What the hell's going on?"
yeah, and I'm pretty sure you were one of the people who said like they're not a relegation team. They're definitely going to be mid-table. Um, I'm
So
giving
to
you credit
me,
for no reason, but
thank you.
I hate you and I'm giving you credit. So
You're
pat yourself on the back.
you're hot potatoing the main character whole thing. Um,
Yep.
so every year I think there's always like 5 to 6 teams that are pesky games where you're like, according to the table, we should be beating them, but it's going to be a difficult match. People like Brentford,
I was just gonna
Fulham
say Brentford.
recently, Crystal Palace towards the end of the year, Brighton kind of has been there, Nottingham Forest were there, Newcastle, those teams that you should be beating, but are pesky, difficult matches. So to me, I do think they have a fairly easy start to their season. However, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Brentford, although they may lose enough people, and then Brighton are all teams that could be pesky matches. They are home for all of them, though. And I
Yes.
will
Right.
say the
Right.
big
Besides
two.
Brentford, but Brentford lost their manager.
Yeah. So Brentford, we have
Thomas Frank's
Brentford.
out.
We don't know now.
Big question mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the three things I'm looking at is what are the first 6 games? What are the 6 games from December 1 to middle of January?
Yep. I
And
look.
what is the last 6 games? To me, they make out pretty well around Christmas. You have
Yeah.
Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Bournemouth. You do hop on City in the first thing of January, but to me, I think they have a difficult end of schedule. Starting with May 2nd. Actually, no, go back.
April.
Other
Yeah.
than
Include
other than
April.
Sunderland
April and
on
May are
their
tough.
last day,
Yeah. They have a.
City, United, Brighton, Forest, Liverpool, Tottenham, and then you end with Sunderland. But that's a
That's a
tough
tough.
6 straight.
Yeah. Even like in March, you still have Villa, Newcastle, Everton. But that's definitely a way tougher end than beginning. I agree with you in December. Obviously, there's a lot of matches always in December, which is weird.
I,
There's no Boxing Day. There's no Christmas Eve
I think
matches
they're
this
off the
year.
hook. I think they're off
Something,
the hook in December. They
yeah,
could
I
basically
think,
limp into January and then got to get ready for City.
yeah, I think that playing Bournemouth, what was it, 4 days before, but it's Bournemouth 4 days before. So if you're Chelsea with this big squad, you can probably, rest a couple guys here before you go in. But yeah, definitely this makes me I mean, just based off of the money they spend, this to me is that Chelsea need to be in not only a top four race, but they need to be in the title race by December. Like they should still be there by December. I don't
Right.
think anybody is expecting them to win or to really put a full 38-week challenge. But up until December, we should be talking about, okay, Chelsea are in the title race. They may not end in the title race, but the way that this schedule is kind of shaping out, obviously the end is very tough, but they should be there.
Right, and it's like the end of the season is always tricky, right? Because when you have a Manchester City, Liverpool, um, like even Tottenham, because Tottenham did win Europa and they're qualified for Champions League. Like that's when those big midweek matches are when teams are, you know, it's tough because you're either focused on the title race, you're focused on the Champions League, or you're battling for both still.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's just such a tough part of the season, right?
No.
Because
And
you're in April, you're in May, you've been playing once or twice a week, and like you have an opportunity to maybe catch a team with tired legs. Um, it's tough. It's tough. You're right. Chelsea's end of the season is going to be up in the air because they're in the
and
Champions League as well. So who knows? Chelsea could make a run this season, and they could also be one of those teams who's battling for both.
yeah.
I mean, the end of the schedule is tough. They do need to come out, and like I said, if you're a Chelsea fan, you're licking your chops because I mean, we're not the only ones sitting here looking at this. Beresca is as well. So
Yeah.
he knows that the first 6 matches,
All winnable.
like they're all winnable, and you got to win because October 4th hits. You're playing Liverpool. They're coming to see you, and then you got Nottingham Forest after that. Like those are 2 matches that you're probably aiming for four points out of that. Because if you don't get 4 points out of that, like it's going to be a battle in April, May.
Yeah. And even all those teams in April and May, even if they're not going for the league, City is still going to be going for top four. So they
Yep.
need to win. United should be still trying to get top four, top six, trying to get some European. You know what I mean? That's what they would hope at that time of the year. So they're still going to be fighting.
Especially because they're not in a European tournament this year. So like,
they're going to be fighting. Brighton should be fighting for that 6. Maybe I could sneak in, get a little Conference League going. Forest, same thing. Liverpool, top 4, or you know what I mean? Same thing, Tottenham. So it's like, even those like, maybe I could catch them because they have Champions League or they got something else. It's like, no, they still going to want that. You know what I mean? They're still going to need those points. So definitely a tough, very tough last 7.
Yeah, I don't see them being title contenders this year, but if they are, they need to be in first place going into April 11th, or they do not have a chance.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they need a lead. I think if they're going to do it, they got to do it early. They got
Who's
to do
next?
like basically what Liverpool did this year is make a lead so big, and then you can kind of coast during that tough part, and not really have to worry about it.
Right.
all right.
All right,
Well,
next up.
we'll go for United next.
Okay.
Well, they're starting the season 0-1.
All right, we are good.
Fulham,
All right, so
Fulham,
sorry,
maybe they start
Wes.
0-2.
Wes, hold on, because Kyle has to change the thing every time we switch.
So I have to.
So
set
yeah,
it
like
up.
we can kind of start from here, and then you can kick off. You can kick off United. Go ahead.
So United are starting 0-1. They may even be starting off 0-2 if Fulham continue with their progress a bit. I think people had Fulham, and I'm not trying to get off on a quick sidetrack, but people almost had Fulham getting relegated last year, and they did really well. So I think they're going to
Yeah.
be one of those teams next year that is like, it's going to be a tough match, and it's
Yeah.
away for Man United.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, relative to expectations,
What did
definitely.
Brighton finish? 11th last year, and Brentford were 10.
Eighth. Brighton were
Yeah,
eighth. Fulham was 11th.
yeah. So I think that Fulham definitely has a chance to get into that top half this year. I think I think they could do it again. You know what I mean? Like staying up in that top half.
Yep.
I think they
I
have one of
agree.
the toughest. I think they have one of the toughest first. What is it? 2, 4, 6, 8. I think they have one of the toughest 10-game starts. Basically,
Their
take
first 3
Yeah.
Burnley and
months.
Sunderland out, and it's Arsenal, Fulham, City, Chelsea, Brentford, Liverpool, Brighton, Forest, Spurs, and then you're getting halfway into November at that point. They have a pretty easy December, even into middle of January.
Yeah, I was gonna say their December
Yeah.
is their December is winnable. You got West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle. Villa, Newcastle are obviously going to be tough ones. Wolves, but then you go Leeds and Burnley, and you don't play City until halfway through January. So you have a cushion once you're done with Spurs, November 8th. You kind of have a cushion until the middle of January, but there's a chance that you only have a couple points here by November. You
Yeah,
know
United's got a tough start. I mean, it's
that
so in theme with like how I started reading off Chelsea's first 6 opponents where they finished. United have second place, 11th, a promo team, third, fourth, and 10th. Another promo team, and then the champion.
first, yeah.
So it's tough because
It's
you
very
bring
top
Ruben
heavy
in
and bottom
mid-season.
heavy.
Yeah, like you bring Ruben in mid-season, and you kind of lick your wounds, and you try to let him implement his system and what he wants to do, and it's tough because United, like the money that they've spent on some of these transfers has, like, they've heavily overpaid based on results. It just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like what they're doing isn't clicking. It's not even what it seems like what they're doing isn't clicking. What they're doing isn't working. And you hope for the opportunity, like, all right, give Ruben an off season, let him make a couple transfers that he wants for his system, and it's out of the frying pan into the fire. Like you got
Yeah.
a tough start to the season.
This is
I think they're one of
screaming.
the biggest question marks next year.
Yep,
Yeah,
I agree. This is screaming. He could get fired before Christmas.
which sucks 'cause I think Ruben's a good manager. I saw
I
that Sporting team against City in the Champions League, and like that was
no. It just feels like you're
it was a bloodbath.
obviously United. You know what I mean? They should be in the top 4 every single year. That's what they want.
Yep.
And you're looking at it. They could get 3 points against Fulham, Burnley 6, Brentford 9. Maybe they only have 9 points, 10 points by November.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, right? Like, City had a collapse against United last season, lost 2-1 after 2 goals scored after the
Yeah.
88th minute, I think. Like
That was so fun.
a derby's a derby, right? Shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. A derby's a derby, right? A derby's a derby. Anything can happen, right? Like, we can have a match where Foden and Holland both have hat tricks, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what happened in a previous derby. The first hat trick in a Manchester derby, and I can't even remember how long. Might have been the first. But like you could have something like that, or which was a common theme for City, a collapse at the end of a match and lose. And based on like what I saw today out of City, it was fun to watch them, but like there are a lot of changes, a lot of people in positions that they're not used to playing because of the system Pep's trying to play. Like I know we're going to talk about City, but as excited as I am, I'm also anxious, right? Because
Yeah.
it's going to be different. That's what's fun about Pep at City. It's always going to be different. So here goes the main character syndrome again. Um, but yeah, United start of the season is going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't know if the manager makes it out of that tough that tough start. I just don't know because their fans are already not happy with him. He already didn't do good. He already didn't implement a system. Still, nobody knows how he's going to play. All of those things have happened already. It's not like this is his. If he just started yesterday, then they would be like, oh yeah, hey, we got a tough spot. It's going to be tough to get the system in order. But hey, end of December, system should be in, and we can kind of kick on second half of the year. But because he already had a good portion of this season, I worry.
It's tough.
I definitely worry for him.
It's tough.
I think my final thought with this is that if I'm in the shoes of a Man U fan, first off, that's probably hell. But I would have to say that if my club, being a Man U fan, on the day after Spurs on November 8th, if we're in the top 10, I would almost pay for it.
Yes. Yep.
And if they come into that in top 10 going into that Everton game in the late November, Europe is totally open for them, I'd say.
Yeah.
Everything else is
Yeah,
pretty
they have a
spread
chance
out.
to make a run
Yeah.
right
If you
there.
could
Like they can go on a roll.
Yep. If you could survive, you could definitely roll December. January is tough. You got City and Arsenal back to back, home and away. That's a tough set. But then other than that, because you got a lot of the tough matches out of the way, you got a West Ham, Everton, Palace, Newcastle, Villa, Bournemouth, Leeds. That's a good section. That's a end of the season.
Question
Chelsea,
for you
Brentford,
both.
Liverpool.
Just to complete with the Man U thing here, where do you think they end up in the table at the end of next season? I know it's so early and there's so many things that
obviously
will happen in the transfer
I'm not
market.
doing it. I'm not doing it. We'll do a predictions video.
Yeah,
we'll do a predictions
do a
episode.
full one when we get closer.
I don't want to touch predictions yet.
Okay.
Relegated.
I think they're top 10 next year. I think they're like 9,
8.
but I think they're top 10 next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. Definitely, let's see what they do in the window. Obviously,
just because you have some of those mid clubs. Again, Brentford are getting raked.
Yeah.
Who else?
they're going to
Forest
lose. They're
aren't
going
going to be the
their two best
same.
attackers and their manager.
You have Bournemouth
Brentford.
getting raked.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. I mean, what happens with Newcastle when if potentially Alexander Isak leaves?
Yeah, that's don't know what you do there.
Like they still have a lot of pieces, but like Isak leaves, does that mean maybe Bruno leaves? Right? Like it's either all in or all out. And for me, if you're a club who finished top 5 last season, you're either all in or all out. Is it sell the players that we've turned into big dollar amount players and invest elsewhere and make our whole squad better? Or, like, do you take a chance on maybe replacing Isak with someone who is either underrated and you can get for a steal, or someone you have to develop? Look, you have to develop the guy who's going to get the most goals out of your squad. Like it might be that might mean take the big money for your other midfielders or for your midfield who are going to provide for your goal scorer and invest again, right? Like that's going to be a big question mark. And is it Liverpool who's going to get him? Because if it's Liverpool who gets him, Liverpool's probably even scarier.
Yeah. Let's speaking of that, let's go. Let's look at Liverpool's schedule.
Let's look at Liverpool.
All right, Liverpool's schedule: Bournemouth, Newcastle, Arsenal, Burnley, Everton, Crystal Palace. Those are your top 6, or your first 6. So you only have Arsenal as a tough matchup.
Yeah, I mean, based
Newcastle.
on last season. So Arne Slot's introduction will be much easier than his first title defense. last year
Huh?
in his introduction, he didn't play a top 4 team until week 4, and then they drew Arsenal in week 10.
Which
Yeah.
which we should have won that one as well, but we got Arsenal than that. Anyways, we're not going to get into that.
Um, no, the first 6 are pretty easy.
At a quick
Pretty easy.
glance,
No, they're not. They're not.
at a quick glance, I think they have, even though we've only looked at Chelsea and Man U, I think they have the best spread out schedule. Like I almost wouldn't change the scheduling. I think their only difficult part is kind of end of the season. You know, Brentford might be bottom half this year, almost guaranteed. But that Man U, Chelsea, Villa, who knows where Villa's going to be? Otherwise, like no one's back to back.
So
You have
that's
Villa,
what I
City.
was just gonna say is that besides for whatever reason, both times they play Chelsea and United, both of those games are back to back. But besides those 2 fixtures, you play a difficult team and then follow it up with an easier team. You go Arsenal and then you go
Yeah.
play Burnley. So if you get whacked, you can get, you could easily, oh, okay, no, we're okay. You play City, okay, Forest, somewhat, you know what I mean, decent. You play Spurs, you play Wolves, okay? You play Arsenal, you play Burnley again afterwards. You play City at home, and then you go to Sunderland, okay? So they have a lot of, like you said, very spread out, where they have a difficult game and then a very easy game right after.
And
So,
how about 8 days between Newcastle and City into February? I'm pretty sure I forget which schedule, if it was Arsenal's or one of the ones that we've looked at, but someone's like within 3 or 4 days of each other within that period. So I think that's a blessing within itself too.
and like you said, they're December, where all your matchups are really close. Sunderland, Leeds, 2 back-to-back promoted teams, in 4 days.
Both. Where's the other?
Right,
Other
but
than
you start with 9th, 5th,
January.
2nd promoted team, Derby, Crystal
Yeah.
Palace away.
Yeah,
Right?
I
Like
think
again,
Bournemouth are gonna
Palace is
be.
one of those pesky teams, and then you go to Chelsea. Like I don't think their start is nearly as difficult as it was, or their start is much more difficult than it was last year,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's an easy start.
I think this is
I
pretty
I
don't.
average.
do.
This feels pretty
It's not.
this feels pretty even in
Other
a
other
sense.
other than us, they don't really have a game that really should be challenging until October.
Well, yeah, but again, like it's Bournemouth home, then Newcastle away. It's not fun playing at St. James, and again, is Isak going to be with Liverpool or is he going to be with
Which side of the
Newcastle?
bench is he on that one?
So like
He might be
you're
with
either going to
Newcastle
face
again, but Liverpool next week.
an Isak that's pissed that he didn't get his move to Liverpool, which is a team that apparently he said a while ago he would want to go to Liverpool. You're going to get an Isak that's pissed that Liverpool didn't pay for him, right? Because if I'm Isak, I'm thinking I'm worth every penny that Newcastle's putting on my head, right? So you got to go to St.
Mhm.
James and play Newcastle. Then you host Arsenal, which, yeah, hosting Arsenal is easier than going to the Emirates, but you're still playing Arsenal. Burnley, yeah, easy one, but then it's Everton, which is Derby, right? So, again, I said this earlier with Manchester United. A Derby match is different. You have Everton, and then you go
Yeah,
to
but
Crystal Palace, and then you go to
you're
Chelsea. Like
at
it's not an
Anfield.
easy
You're
start.
at they're not losing to Everton at home
They're
in
not losing to
January.
Everton at home, but it's still going to be a tough match. Still makes your legs tired. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Pressure's on. It's a derby. It's different.
Yeah.
Then
I don't think their start is easy.
look at their
And
end of
I fucking
November.
hate Liverpool. I fucking hate Liverpool. Remember that. I hate Liverpool. I hate Liverpool more than I hate United.
Yeah. I think they probably, of all the ones we've looked at, they have the most, I don't know, I don't want to call it average because everybody plays
All
the same,
round
but like
balance.
overall, it is the
Balance.
most balanced.
Yeah.
Front to back is like very even. They don't have a difficult part of the season. They don't have an easy part of the season necessarily, but they've kind of, yeah, very very balanced.
I don't know. I think they have the easiest December schedule, other
Well,
than Spurs. Look at starting
yeah.
at
Yeah, no,
West Ham,
they definitely have a great
Sunderland,
December. They
Leeds,
they could they
Brighton,
could go
Wolves.
undefeated in December, for sure. They're gonna
They
pick up a
they
lot of points.
play Leeds twice in the league within 3 weeks of each other, and then go to Fulham.
Yeah,
From end of November to almost the middle of January, they should be totally fine.
yeah,
And they kind of
literally
lucked out with Newcastle, then City both being at Anfield
yeah,
in like January, February, like coming off of that tough stretch in December, going into January, when like again, you expect Liverpool to be in all the cups still in
yeah,
January and February. Like they kind of luck out with being at Anfield with those two. Um,
yeah. I mean, they're
yeah,
they're two toughest matches literally come so far apart. You have November 8th, you play City, and then your next tough match is Arsenal, January 7th. You have beginning of November and the beginning of January. You have an entire 2 month span where you can kind of cruise and pick up a lot of points. Obviously, some tough games in there, but that's a good stretch.
I don't know.
If this
Maybe it's
was
just me as a City fan thinking Tottenham away is always a tough one.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what I mean. There's not too many tough ones in there.
if this was your club, is there anything you would even change to make this
No,
a better
I wouldn't even. I
schedule?
wouldn't be
No,
mad. And I wouldn't be upset. I'd be completely. Yeah, no, all right, cool, okay.
This is
I'm ready for the
so
season.
ideal. It's so
I
ideal.
would say that it is ideal because you don't have a part of the season that you're not looking forward to. Like Dylan is not freaking out about any month. He's just like, okay, yeah, hey, we're all good.
if I'm Dylan, I'm horny.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Yep,
If I'm
If I'm Dylan,
Dylan,
I
I'm
see this, I'm
drunk at
horny.
a wedding.
yeah.
If
Let's
I'm a fantasy
do.
player, I'm picking up every Liverpool player I can.
Yeah, this is going to be a very good Liverpool year for fantasy. We also do fantasy EPL as well on here, which we will get into in one of these episodes. We'll go through.
Yep.
Um, let's do. You want to do City next? Save Arsenal
Or
for
we'll
last.
do City next. Save the worst for last.
Man, talk about a walk in the park for December. Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Palace, West Ham. Forest is maybe your toughest. Back to Sunderland. That is unbelievable. You get Sunderland twice in December, who have the highest chance of getting relegated. What kind of
Wait
oil have
until
you
Kyle's
dropped?
ready to start the
You're good.
fucking
You're good. You're
reaction,
good. Yeah,
Wesley.
you're good. You're good. I totally agree. That is a fantastic December. If I'm gonna set an alarm right now, actually, on my phone for November 29th, and I'm going to tell myself pick up any City players that are on the waiver wire for fantasy because they got a 5 weeks, 6 weeks here where they're just going to be cruising. Yeah, that's a great December.
And look at their shortest game break they have, which is that December 27th, and then they play 3 days later. Who do they play? The worst club in the Premier League. Unbelievable. You guys
So
must have
yeah,
not just struck uranium or you must have struck oil, gold, and natural gas.
Do they have a tough part?
Unbelievable.
do they
Yes.
have a tough part? Yes, they do.
September
September?
into I mean even that second game week into end of Arsenal. I think that's a 4 game tough stretch.
That's yeah. It's not the easiest first six by far. I mean, Wolves, okay, but then Spurs, who have for whatever reason had City's number. How did Brentford do against you guys with Thomas Frank?
Didn't they tie you once last
Um,
year?
Brentford was. Let me see here. Brentford, I believe we drew. Yeah, we drew in January, and the first match that they played was. Damn, I can't even find it. Here's the thing, right? Brentford lost their manager, so Brentford, no matter what, is going to be a huge question mark. And we won 2-1
Just seeing
at
if
the
he's got
Etihad in September.
if he's gonna add or subtract from Spurs having your guys' number. You know what I mean? If Brentford beat you guys and then
It's Spurs away. Like City are cursed Spurs away. It's just the case. Maybe we broke it.
Yeah, Brighton's tough match still.
So
they're one of those teams.
Right, like I wrote this down for City. In the first 6 matches, the target I would say is 3, 6, 9, 12. So I'm gonna say Wolves, you got to win. Spurs at home, you got to win. Brighton away, you got to win. Between Manchester United at home, you got to win that. If you don't win that, you need to beat Arsenal away. And I didn't even put a loss as an option. Like if you draw, you got to beat Arsenal away. If you beat Manchester United at home, you got to nick a draw at the Emirates, and then Burnley's a win. I mean, that's how the season has to start.
Yeah, I agree. For City to do what they want to do this year, absolutely.
That being said,
I think in that 6 you can only afford 1 draw. Doesn't matter who it's against, but
right. Like that being said, though, when it comes to second half of the season, when you're in January, like our December is looking like it's gonna be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15
you make
plus
a walk in the park look miserable.
Yeah, that's an 18-point December. That's the December of City, not from last year, but the year before, where it's like, okay, it's the first week of December. City's not losing for the rest of the year now. Like,
yeah, it's January when they typically pick it up and they maybe lose a match.
Yeah.
Well, no, they typically lose a match, but like last season after January, they won. They had the most points in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like that's what you expect. So going in at the end of December, got to be top 2.
Yeah.
I believe that your December schedule for this upcoming season is Pep Guardiola taking the Premier League out to dinner a couple times last week. I think your last 5 is pleasing if you're a Man City fan. Who knows what Villa will do next year, but otherwise you should be okay. I think your toughest part of the schedule is just a 2-game stretch, which is that 2 first games in April. And it's I think your toughest stretch because it's so late in the season, and that could be a 6-point swing in both games for you. So I think that's your toughest stretch.
So fortunately, you do have like that match against Palace at home is Saturday the 21st, and then your next match in the Premier League is Chelsea Saturday the 11th.
Why though? Is that international? I thought they're done and ready for the World Cup. Break.
Yeah. And they also are, obviously these are all for Saturdays. They're going to move them, so some will be Sundays.
Yeah, so the schedule
will be Fridays.
Always
so it's not 100%. It's more of just like the game week. But to me, like Wes said, you have those 2 matches in April, Chelsea, Arsenal, and then your other tough 2 are in November, Liverpool and Newcastle going back to back. So those are like your two times. I mean, you could also add in the United Arsenal in September. So you got a couple blocks where you got, kind of doubled up tough games. But January, you got Chelsea, United, and Spurs all in January.
Yep.
I think I genuinely think that they're going to have to change the saying from a walk in the park to Man City's December schedule.
December is nice. That's a great.
December's nice, but January gets tougher. So
yes, yeah.
It's you have an easier schedule in December with a bunch of matches, but then you still have 5 matches in January and they're tougher. Yeah. So, like,
wow,
I wouldn't be shocked.
Match?
I wouldn't be shocked to see, either an upset loss or a draw somewhere in December where they should have taken 3 points.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden, no matter what, everyone's going to have tired legs in January. Like I'm trying to make the schedule sound harder than it is.
How have you managed to play Sunderland twice in December, before you play Chelsea once.
It is weird. I googled it today,
I
and they
did.
said it's just a computer figures out. Like it's not anybody like doing it. Like it's
Yeah, but I
completely
thought you have to
randomized by
play
a computer
everyone.
program.
I thought you have to
Yeah,
play everyone once first before then starting a second. Because if that was the case, how come we're not ending with a Chelsea within 3 weeks of each other like Sunderland, but in March?
I also thought
You
that
know what,
too,
Wes?
but
You
I
should write a
googled it,
letter
and
to
it's
the Premier
completely
League and
it is.
ask why this is a thing. Because once again, the Premier League are out to get Arsenal.
Money, oil.
um, yeah,
Here,
no,
I actually have
that's a
wipes here
good.
to wipe the sludge off your hands.
So I'm going to predict 8 goals for Holland out of December and 7 out of January. So that's already 15. Might be a 40-goal season.
My prediction at the end of December, your top two are Chelsea and City. That's just looking at the
Chelsea,
schedule.
Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and only because Liverpool kind of have. Well, we haven't seen the Arsenal schedule yet, so
Yeah,
let's.
yeah. Let's go to that because
Yeah,
I just
I'm
want to say
already
one
upset.
last thing on this schedule really quick.
Okay.
You know
yep.
how you get to an end of a year, it's like the ball's about to drop, and you're like, oh, I'm thinking back on all the great memories from this year. The greatest thing for me was when JP and I met up in Nashville, and I got to see his club get whooped by Spurs.
Yep. And all day I heard about it, so then I took a fat dump in your personal bathroom and used your towel. And you were livid. You were pissed.
He's very upset.
Oh man.
All right,
Oh
let's go to
man.
let's do the last one here, and then we'll get going. Let's do the Arsenal schedule, and finally, the Arsenal schedule. We absolutely are getting our dick kicked in. First 6 matches.
Tough start.
That's by far the toughest start. United first week is definitely going to be tough. I think we should win, but definitely tough. Leeds is our only saving grace, but obviously newly promoted team. Who knows? You know what I mean? They're going to be up for it, obviously. Then we go Liverpool. Absolute
At Anfield.
massive 6 point.
Anfield in August.
Yep, that's a 6 pointer. They're obviously still super excited for winning the title. You know, that's a huge one. Forest, that's a gotcha game, absolutely. And then City, and then Newcastle. We go to Oil Town for 2 weeks here. That's tough. Thank God the City game is home. If that City one was away, I don't know if Arteta makes it out of those 6 games. That is
Arsenal.
absolutely diabolical. That is very tough. That is rough. I
It's
mean, I
definitely the
could,
toughest 6 game start, but it's not. I just because of the next four after the six, I think Man U has the tougher 10 game start. I think we have the tougher 6 game start.
yeah. That's rough. But like you said, we go to West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Sunderland. So we get a little bit of a breather. We get 5 games to pick up 15 points and now have 15 points because we had such a rough 6 game stretch. So
Well,
to
We
okay.
me,
luckily aren't getting murdered in December either, although Villa have had our number. And of
yeah,
course,
we
twice.
play him twice.
So out of those first 6 matches, like what how many points are you okay with? And how many points are you, you know, like this is our year?
I'm
Like where
if
where are
if
we in
we're
those
if
first
we
6?
beat like we should beat United, Leeds, Forest. Okay, we should beat Newcastle. Okay, because Liverpool's away. That's I would like a draw. And City, obviously, we play each other fantastic the last few years. Like the last 2 years, like we got last year, but you guys had the year before that. So Who knows? So
The
I'm
last
okay
the
with
last 4 Premier League matches are 2 wins for Arsenal, 2 draws.
yeah. So I'm I mean, if we beat Liverpool and we beat City, if we go undefeated, those first 6 we're winning the title. I will plan my tattoo for the week after May 24th. I think if
So
we
go ahead, sorry.
but I would like a draw for both of those games keeps us in it. I think if we lose both of those games, then we're already thinking, well, we can't have any slip ups now. Like, you know what I mean? You can't use up your slip ups at the end of September. You need those for your April Man City game. You should want the league done. You should want, you know what I mean? You should be so ahead where you're not really worried then.
Yeah. I mean,
I think,
so
yeah.
the last 2 matches that City and Arsenal played at the Emirates, Arsenal won. The previous 6, Manchester City won. Manchester City's looking at that as we need to win this match. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
City are going to be open, whether or not Arsenal are.
Yes, I totally agree that City game I think is going to be
Arsenal
like
were last time.
Yeah, that
They won 5-1.
yeah.
Well, it was 1-1 at halftime, but they won 5-1. Arsenal attack.
Yeah. Somebody I know went to that game. I can't remember who
Fuck
it was.
you.
Here, take a screenshot. Main character energy.
What I would say is that August and September, I was not panicking in the transfer window. I know that Arsenal move at a snail's pace. They talk to somebody, then they talk to their brother and their girlfriend and their father and then their sister-in-law and their brother-in-law. They really try to get to know somebody before they sign them. Absolutely irritates me. I was not panicking before. It's like, okay, hey, City moved real fast. Liverpool moved pretty quick. Okay, that's fine. You know, they kind of knew what they were doing. Seeing this schedule was like, okay, I'm in panic mode now. You need to get that striker figured out immediately. You need to tell Rodrigo he's got a couple weeks to figure his shit out, and then you got to move on because you already lost Nico Williams
don't
by
think he's
letting
coming.
Barcelona. You let Barcelona come in and grab him because you took too long. So you need to figure out what you're doing. You need to get those 2 situations figured out. Then you can wait for the backup center back, or if Party leaves, get his replacement, who's going to be the coming off the bench, you know, CDM. Those I'm okay, but you need to get that striker winger situation figured out before preseason. They need to be, if it is Sesko, he needs to be fired and ready to go. You know, you need both of those players in before preseason, before the preseason tour.
Arteta's not worried about it. He's making out with models on the beach right now. He's not worried about it.
He is.
And she loves it because he always finishes second. So
I saw those memes. Those were good memes.
So, I think it's interesting how we have back-to-back oil matchups in the beginning and then the back half of the season.
Yeah.
So September and then April, Man City, and then Newcastle.
I really need that City game to be on the 20th and not the 21st because I'm going to a Patriots game the 21st. And I really want to have everybody over for the City game. I'm thinking about having everybody over for the United game, but that's going to be 1 month from Vanessa's due date. But she already was like, if we're okay, well, then, yeah, you could do it. I understand. It's Arsenal.
I mean, unless you're flying me out from Vegas to Connecticut, I'm not going to. So who really cares about the City Arsenal match? And also, like, I don't know what you guys are so worried about because like, I hear all this. Oh, Arsenal haven't lost to a top 6 opponent in checks notes 730 days. Like, I mean, your last loss was to Bournemouth.
That's
You
why
don't play
we're
them
the
until
best.
January 3rd. So, like, what are you guys worried about? I hear this.
Well, I
Oh,
think-
City has a cakewalk. This City, this. Oh, City, that. Liverpool balanced schedule. Arsenal, you guys are so good. You haven't lost to a top 6 opponent in 730 days. So,
We are
like,
that good.
all this
Thank you.
complaining that I hear about, oh, the first 6, oh, we're scared. You got this. Shut the fuck up. What are you guys worried about?
Well,
You guys
I
are on this whole
haven't-
730-day not top 6 loss win streak. Yeah, your last loss was to Bournemouth. You don't play them till January 3rd. You said Chelsea and City top of the table at the end of December. What do you mean? All the talk I heard, I expect Arsenal to be at the top of the table with 0 draws, 0 losses, and all the wins.
We'll go invincible again.
So I guess to comment on the top six, I think anything less than 13 points is below par after the sixth game. So that
Yes.
essentially allows
Yeah, I
for
agree.
4 wins,
Yes.
a tie, and a loss. My only other comment, and Kyle, I said this to you before, if we come out of our first 6 games undefeated, I will also get a tattoo early because it is happening this season.
Yeah, I think that's if we come out those first 6 undefeated, I think that's a very good sign. Because last year the problem, with the injuries and red cards is that we didn't start off last year well. Our September and October were not great. So we were always behind, always playing catch up. And because we haven't done it with this squad, we haven't won the league, we can't be in the catch up position. I think that we got to lead from the front if we're going to do it. Like you said, December has got a lot of winnable games besides those 2 Villa matches, which Villa, like you said, have kind of played us really well. But because those matches are pretty close, I'd rather play Villa twice there than Liverpool or City or even United. So I'm okay with that.
I'm actually
End of
looking
the
this at
year,
the glass half full.
yeah, end of the year, those last 7 matchups, you still got City, Newcastle back to back in April. Hopefully those aren't for the league. Hopefully those aren't the matches you need to win. Hopefully you didn't lose against a Brentford and you didn't lose against a Fulham like we did. So you don't have to worry about those, or you could handle the draw against City. But last 4, in May, if we have to clean up the title, those are the 4 you'd want. You'd
I
want
don't
Fulham,
know.
West Ham,
If
and
I'm
Burnley.
you, I'm biting my fingernails down to the bone with Bournemouth at home in April.
No, no. See, what's great about the schedule, and again, it's the glass half full that I'm trying to look at this here. We're gonna know on August 30th if we are legit this year. So we'll
Yeah,
know going into September 1 if it's gonna really be this year or
yeah.
not.
I think at the end of September we're gonna know: are we going for the Champions League or are we going for the Premier League? I don't think we have the squad to do both. We just don't have that depth. I mean, depending on who we get this year, maybe, but I don't
My
think
least
we're
favorite part of the
still
schedule is that end of February, Spurs
yeah.
Chelsea.
We
That's
still
that's my
have
In
that.
least
in
favorite
November,
part.
you'll already be able to start making the excuse about injuries. So
Wait a
Yeah.
minute, Spurs were also Spurs Chelsea. How are they doing this to us?
You know what's weird is our February and our November are exactly identical. How does that work? Sunderland, Brentford, Spurs, Chelsea, Sunderland, Burnley, Spurs, Chelsea. I mean, that's pretty
Brentford,
crazy. Yeah, and then Brentford. Yeah, I mean that's kind of
Sunderland, Brentford, Spurs, Chelsea, Sunderland, Spurs, Chelsea, Brentford.
yeah, that's really weird. And then also we play City, Newcastle back to back in April, and also back to back in September. That's interesting.
What this
But
Great.
also
Now, so Arsenal
forces.
can now blame the referees and the
and
computer.
the
Awesome. You
computer.
guys have all the excuses already. It's
Well,
amazing.
I did see a United channel today
Excusinal.
talk about how the United Arsenal first matchup is just so that whatever team loses, that team becomes like, because both teams are like very polarizing. That if United lose, it becomes a yep, that's over. They're gonna have to fire the coach, and then if Arteta out, he's got to leave. So I did see United fans say that. I was like, yeah, that's for the headlines. The United Arsenal first match is definitely for the headlines. That's somebody's getting memed out for
Someone's
that one.
getting sacked, or at least all year that manager
Yeah.
is getting the
Yeah.
articles about getting sacked.
Yeah.
I think
I
I think
mean,
this schedule forces them to do business early. We're a team that
I
usually
agree.
doesn't make the big signing until the season has already started. You even
Yeah.
look at Mesut Ozil on the last day of the deadline, other
Yeah,
big
we always
players
leave
towards the
everything
very
super
end.
late.
I think this again will test how legit they are about making these signings at everybody it's beyond the elephant in the room. So
Yeah.
I think this, again, glass half full with the tough 6 games to start. It's going to tell us early if we're legit, and it's going to see if they're
Mhm.
really legit about making signings.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, this makes me a little bit nervous of the transfer window now. They definitely got to make a move. But if I had to choose a schedule, just if you guys could just replace your schedule with anybody's team, who would it be, and
Liverpool.
why is it? And why is
Liverpool.
it Liverpool's?
Because they
Balanced.
have no
Balanced.
back-to-backs that are even difficult.
Yeah, and
They
if
have
you could not have,
Sunderland
and
after the Man
who do you
City
think
games?
try to take bias out of it? Who's got the worst schedule? The one you wouldn't want.
Like I do think United's first 6 matches are tougher than Arsenal's. I
10.
do. Huh?
10 or 6, because I think we have a harder 6, given that we're away at Anfield, and then we're
Yeah.
away at Newcastle.
But I think you're right. I think they have a harder 10.
I mean,
We have a harder
United
we're
have
away
3
at
top
United.
4 teams in their first 5 matches.
I know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I do have to get going, though.
Yep. I gotta get going too. And JP, you got a concert to go to.
All right, gentlemen.
Pleasure talking to you guys. Next episode we can do something fun. Go through some predictions,
real.
maybe some really early, super way too early predictions.
Been
Thank
real.
you guys so
Been
much
fun,
for
but it
watching.
hasn't been real fun.
Please like, subscribe, share it to all your soccer buddies. Send it in your group chats. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Boig.